Welcome to this accounting and finance event today. I'm joined by Jonny Munby. Jonny is joining us from Teesside University Business School, and Jonny is a principal lecturer at Teesside University Business School. And Jonny is going to be doing a session first on providing an introduction to accounting and finance courses. And Jonny is also the course leader for the BA Hons Accounting and Finance course at Teesside University. I'm also joined by Cotterill, who's joined us from City University of London. Andy's going to talk about careers in accounting and finance, and perhaps some of the career routes that you might be exploring when you're thinking about accounting and finance courses. But without further ado, let's get on with today's event. Jonny Munby is our first speaker. Jonny is going to introduce courses in accounting and finance. Jonny, the floor is yours. Over to you, please.
Great. Thanks so much, John. It's great to be with you all today. We'd love to see you in person, but these online events are great, aren't they, for connecting with people across the country. Let me just share my PowerPoint, and then we'll get started. Great. All right. So I'm looking at why would you choose to study accounting and finance? Obviously, we've said I'm based at Teesside University Business School. Short introduction to me. John's already said kind of what I do in my role. I'm a principal lecturer. I teach accounting, different types of accounting. I teach a bit of economics and business. And I work on our international portfolio. My contact details are there. If you want to contact me by email or Twitter or LinkedIn as well, you can just search Jonny Munby. Bit of my story. So I went to York and studied philosophy, politics and economics, which was great, really fascinating course. And then wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do, but followed a few of my friends who studied economics on to look at the accounting training graduate schemes, and got onto the NHS graduate scheme, and I completed my CIMA exams, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, which I'm going to talk more about later. Fully qualified as a management accountant, worked in the hospital sector for a few years, and then after I moved from the hospital sector to the commissioning sector, still within the NHS, and then about 4 years ago, I fancied a change, applied for a job as a lecturer, and got a job at Teesside. As a lecturer in accounting, which I'm loving, really enjoying it. So hopefully that gives you a bit of my background. So there's going to be 4 or 5 main areas I'm going to talk about today. Why you should study accounting and finance. It's a language of business. There's great career prospects. We're going to talk about accreditation. I'm going to talk about the kind of skills, techniques and subjects that you're going to maybe cover on an accounting degree, and talk about how you can broaden your horizons and have experiences studying this type of degree at university. Okay, so accounting is the language of business. You know, if you hear any news report, particularly at the minute, about, you know, businesses that are struggling, they'll use words such as profit and loss, such as revenues and expenses. They maybe talk about the assets of a business, the liabilities and the equity of a business. All these phrases we hear, you know, on news reports. And if you ever, if you're going to end up in whether a senior management position, in a CEO position, whether or not it's in the finance department or working in accounting, you're going to encounter these terms. So they are really, really important terms and concepts to understand in business. Also kind of managing business performance, measuring that performance. We'll look at things like margins, investment, returns, variances and valuations, and that can set you up for all kinds of things. I'm sure that Andy will talk about in the session later, but just about careers and, you know, going into finance, into banking, into investments and all those kind of areas. So it really does set you up well. And also accounting information is used in so many ways and is produced by in different ways by different people. So if we think about who uses accounting information, there's more people than you think. So we've got obviously the shareholders down the bottom left, who are wanting to find out how the company is performing. They can look at you know, profits and losses and make decisions on buying shares. People who are lending money to businesses, so loan creditors, they're going to want to use accounting information. The employees themselves are going to want to know how the company is performing. You've got financial analysts who are looking at advising people on investing on the stock market, who are again looking at reported financial information. Suppliers who are looking at whether they can sell to someone who's going to pay them. Customers, they want to know they're going to get a good product and that the company is financially viable. Competitors obviously are always looking for how their competitors are performing, where the weaknesses are, what potential opportunities in the market are. Obviously, governments collect statistics as well as obviously measuring for taxation purposes, and the general public. So all these people use accounting information, and therefore there's always going to be a demand, you know, for accountants and for the many roles that accountants hold. Just going to talk more specifically about careers. I'm going to focus on accounting. I know that we've got a session on the careers, but this is more about what an accounting degree can do for you in terms of careers. But if you didn't already know, the accounting profession is globally recognised and respected. Once you finish your degree, you'd be expected, if you wanted to become an accountant, to join one of these. This is just 3, there are many others, professional bodies, and you have to do further exams to be able to qualify, but you would qualify with a professional body, and all of those professional bodies, particularly in the UK, are internationally recognised. And once you get fully qualified, that basically gives you, you know, a passport. So you're then a recognised professional. The career in accounting is based on specialist knowledge and skills. It sets you apart in the job market. It's also keeping abreast of innovations in technology. We all use, you know, software packages, reporting packages. We've got to get to grips with new developments in technology, Industry 4.0, AI, blockchain. All these things are all part of an accountant's toolkit. And obviously, I know Andy's going to talk about the many routes, but there's some really big international key players, accounting firms, the big 4 there, EY, Deloitte, PwC, KPMG. One of the kind of common graduate routes off the back of an accounting and finance degree to work for a big accounting firm. There are many other options as well. Because accounting is about influencing decisions, you can go on to work in any industry, whether it's in Formula One, whether it's working in confectionery, whether it's in leisure and tourism, whether it's in the health service, local government, you know, public sector, private sector. Everyone needs accountants to report their financial information, to manage their performance. And so you can take that skill and you can move pretty much into any industry, pretty much any company, and pretty much any place in the world. It is, like I said, a gateway to the world. And the opportunities are there to work internationally with many of these companies using your professional qualifications. And actually, the accounting profession isn't the ceiling, as it were. Once you've qualified, it actually opens up opportunities in senior management roles. So there's a survey done every year of Britain's top CEOs in the FTSE 100, and they found that more than half of those had a background in finance, accounting and finance, and 1 in 5 CEOs are actually qualified chartered accountants. So it sets you up really well for the most senior management jobs as well. And just to touch on that, the average salary for accounting graduates, I think that was a HESA report, was 26,433. So they do quite well in terms of starting salaries off the back of an accounting degree. I've already talked a little bit about accreditation. I've put a few more of the bodies on the screen there. ACCA, ICAS, which is the Chartered Accountants of Scotland, CIMA, which is more geared towards management accounting, SIPFA, which is more about public sector finances, ICAEW, kind of the most respected chartered accountancy firm, arguably in the world. And there's others as well, but these are, like, in the UK, the most recognised ones. And if you study pretty much any accounting or finance degree, most universities have this. They'll sign up, they'll be working with these professional bodies to gain accredited exemptions, which means that once you've completed the degree, instead of, for example, with ACCA, having to study 13 or 14 exams, you'd actually fast track, whether that's 6, 7, maybe 8 or 9 exams. So you actually gain a higher level entry into the professional qualification, meaning you only have to study maybe 3, 4, 5 further exams to become a fully qualified accountant. In order to become fully qualified, as well as the exams, you'll need experience, always 3 years with all of the bodies, but most graduate schemes are designed to be 2.5, 3 years long to ensure you gain the competencies you need to submit your experience and get fully signed off as a professional. So that instead of maybe thinking of this as like a 3-year journey, if you want to be an accountant, you kind of think of this as a 6-year journey, 3 years in uni plus 3 years after uni to become fully qualified. So what kind of topics would you be likely to study if you picked an accounting and finance degree? Obviously, I've based some of this around what we teach at Teesside, but very common across all accounting degrees because they are aligned to the professional bodies, and these are the exams, the kind of subjects that are covered by the professional bodies. So we've got financial accounting, which focuses on financial reporting, obviously profit and loss, balance sheet, cash flow, using financial reporting standards like IFRS, and that'll progress through probably each year. The same for management accounting, which is much more about giving managers information to make strategic decision making, so performance management, budget statements, costing, capital investment appraisals, business cases, those kind of things. You probably will cover some business management and some strategy. My students tend to say, oh, they're the softy subjects, the kind of airy-fairy subjects, but actually it's really important as an accountant that we understand how businesses work, how strategy works, how to manage people, work with people, how to make decisions. So it's not just about the numbers, it's about working well in organizations. You probably likely have some taxation in there, probably some company law. You'll do some audit. There'll definitely be ethics, which is a big part of the profession, is our ethical code and our ethical standards. Probably do some economics, maybe some financial management or corporate finance. Most degrees tend to have some research within them, whether that's, you're given a research methods module and a dissertation or a research project. It might be more tied to like an industrial placement and an industrial project, but you're likely to be done some piece of extended independent work, as well as a lot of universities offering an optional placement year or year in industry is very common as well. So these are the kind of the general offering, as it were, in any accounting and finance degree. Now, some degrees are more focused, more evenly balanced between accounting and finance. So you might see more in there in terms of banking and investment, or if it's more focused on the accounting, you'll tend to see the things that are on the screen there. But why go to university rather than maybe you think, well, I could start earning, I could maybe apply for an accounting apprenticeship or get a trainee accounting post, for example. So there are a few benefits of actually doing this at university rather than jumping straight into the world of work. Many professional jobs require a degree. And so I guess jumping into a trainee accountant role does limit your kind of progression opportunities. Whereas once you've got your degree, even though it's an accounting degree, it still keeps those options open for you. Coming to university allows you to learn from experts in their field. We have practitioners in our teaching team as well as researchers, and obviously most of us do both. But you get that experience as well as that expertise, and you study a broad range of subjects, not just the subjects that you would study with an accounting professional qualification, but also some of those broader subjects about academic skills and research. So you learn to be, doing a degree, you'd have that teaching and development in being independent, critical, analytical, reflective, as well as increasing your specialist knowledge as well. In terms of money, best loan you'll ever have, student loans company lends you the money, you only have to pay it back when you earn over around 27 grand. That changes every April. You can check the gov.uk website. But it is written off over 30 years if you don't repay it all. But going to university, making new friends, having new experiences, living away from home, learning to live independently potentially, and making friends across different discipline areas. Your friends won't all be studying accounting. You'll make friends who are studying history, geography, nursing, whatever it is. So it's a great opportunity to broaden your horizons, make some great friends, have some experiences, and you know, maybe start out living independently if you've never done it before. And university is much more than just learning those technical skills, the debits and the credits. They put some results up from a recent survey by the CMI to look at what key skills are employers looking for. And this would be true of accountants as well as managers. Hang on a second. So we've got communication, we've got team skills, we've got problem solving and critical analysis, motivating others, ability to work across different cultures. So all of those soft skills, project management are all there. So those are some of the skills that you'll be learning while on a degree, not just the accounting technical skills, basically. All right, so I think that is about the end. Yeah, so thanks for listening. Obviously, I'll be on the Q&A for a bit longer. I will check the Q&A in a minute. And obviously, you can email me there, j.munby@tees.ac.uk. I hope that was helpful. Yeah, so I'll check the Q&A, but I'll stop sharing my PowerPoint there. I'll hand back to John.
Thank you, Jonny. That's a brilliant introduction to accounting. And as Jonny said, he is going to be on the Q&A, so it's a great opportunity to ask questions. At the, you know, I said right at the start, Andy, Jonny is the course leader for the BA Hons Accounting and Finance course at Teesside. So if you're interested in studying accounting and finance, this is such a great opportunity to ask an expert about what to expect on an accounting and finance course. If I can now introduce our second speaker, which is Andy Cotterill. Andy, someone I know really well from City University of London. He's supported a few of these events now, so he's as experienced as you can be in terms of the online event circuit. Andy's going to talk about accounting and finance careers and really building from Jonny's focused, quite understandably, given he's an academic that leads the accounting and finance course at Teesside. But Andy comes from more the recruitment side, so he's going into schools a lot, speaking to students about universities, and Andy is very much a career specialist, so he's going to look at the careers side of things. So Andy, the floor is yours, please.
Thanks very much, John, and thanks, Jonny, as well, for a fantastic overview of accounting and finance courses as well. So yeah, I can't promise to come at you with much of an academic side of things, but I can hopefully over the next 15 minutes or so look at career options in accounting and the financial sector as well. So, I've done this before, it doesn't make it any quicker sharing the screen. I'll throw some slides up here for you. So hopefully you can see that all okay. So today's focus, say for the next 15 minutes or so, will be on careers in the financial sector. So I think Jonny said really nicely, actually, to start off with, that university is not necessarily the right route for everyone, but university is a fantastic route if you want to go and pursue a career in finance, banking, accounting, those sort of areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward right the way through and pretend that you're just finishing up university and you've got to the end of your studies and you're now thinking, well, what do I do next then? I've done an accounting degree, a finance degree, an investment degree. What's next for me? Where do I go from here? And what I want to do is sort of work backwards, if you like. So start by looking at what graduates end up doing, what skills they gain from their courses, what courses have graduates normally done, not necessarily ones you may have thought of off the top of your head, and how they can make the most of their opportunities as well in terms of your time at university. So first of all, just to give you a quick flavour of what accounting and finance graduates do, the vast majority of them you'll see do go and work full-time in the UK. So when they're finished their studies, within 6 months, the majority have got full-time jobs based in the UK. You've got some who are working part-time as well and working overseas, but the work element is quite critical there. You can see there's about 9.2% people as well who also want to further study, and we'll look at what some of those options look like. So if you've got all these people working, they go and work off in different sectors as well, but you'll see there's a vast majority of them are working in business, HR and finance. That is the sector where people will tend to go, and you might think that that makes sense. If people have done accounting courses, finance, even through the business route and come into those professions, again, it links quite nicely and means that people studying something quite specific at university tend to have a clear idea of where it is they want to go. Now, in terms of what that job actually looks like, there's a whole range of different things out there. So I want to throw up some job titles for you then of what people go on to do with certain different types of degrees. So in finance and accounting, you've got a bit of a flavour here of what people are doing. So this is taken from this 2017 group of graduates and where they were in 2018. So it's a little bit out of date now, but it's sort of the most up to date we've got. But you can see some people have gone to work in with those big companies. So going for work, people at Ernst & Young, Barclays, working in big banks. You've got people who are analysts, accountants, but also for working in farm foods, in business management as well, and that side of things. And these are specifically finance and accounting. I think Jonny said it really nicely that accounting, and this is going to come up later as well, is the language of business. That's exactly the way that our academics at our business school also talk about the accounting degrees that we offer. That if you can speak accounting, no matter what level of business you're operating at, having that under your belt gives you a massive advantage in terms of your business understanding. But you know, people go off and do other stuff as well. We've got a trainee pilot from that cohort as well. So not necessarily going into the financial sector at all, but using their skills, knowledge and experience from their time at university to go and pursue something different. In terms of things that people go and do in terms of further study, I'll just touch on this very, very briefly. You can see some people have gone into kind of morph their accounting and finance degrees towards actuarial management, law and accounting, business as well, and banking and finance. And you can see there's some more accounting qualifications as well. And people who are going to become teachers too. So what I want to do again is have a look through some of those specifics that you can go into in the finance sector then. There's lots of different ways you can go. Just having a finance degree or an economics or accounting degree, there's so many then different things you can choose within that as well. I think the crucial thing to remember with accounting and finance, and again, Jonny said this really well, is not every accounting and finance graduate will become an accountant. They'll go off and do other things as well as that kind of core training. So you've got a few different areas there, about 6 different kind of fields that you could go into in the finance sector using some of the stuff you've studied whilst you're at university. So looking at that a little bit deeper then, here's some job titles that you might expect to see perhaps. People who are chartered accountants, again, chartered management accountants we've looked at, company secretaries, external auditors, forensic accountants as well, which is one of the cooler job titles, I think, stockbrokers as well. These are all things that you may expect people to go into with that financial background. There are also some much more, I suppose, niche careers that you can go into, and again, where you can use your skills to go into slightly other areas. So going into business development, data analysis, and again, you come out with those skills from an accounting degree that you will, yes, know how to account, you'll learn how to do data analysis, how to use software to do that effectively as well. Management, so going into that as well, looking at mortgages for potentially if you're going to the real estate sector, and tax advisors, purchasing, lots of different areas that people will go into, and actuaries as well. And that's why I just wanted to just throw up, because we get asked this all the time about what an actuary is and what they do. These are people who work very much in the financial sector, who are experts in math, statistics, economics, and basically looking at probability, risk management, looking for solutions. So a lot of the time they would work in insurance. So if you've ever tried to, when you're learning to drive, insure a car for the first time, if you change it where you park it, if you change how many miles you use, it affects that premium, it affects how much you need to pay. Actuaries are the people behind all of that. They do the maths, build the algorithms, build the equations that are needed to make predictions around insurance payouts. But a lot more, they also will work in things like the current pandemic we're experiencing. They'll be, again, actuarial experts plotting those kind of trajectories of illness. They also, people working in the health sector, as actuaries also working in other areas of risk management in the financial sector as well, looking at investments and how to get the best out of those returns. So lots of skills in game, but again, something not a lot of people have heard of. When you're doing a maths A level at the moment, it might not be something you come across naturally. But generally speaking, the skills of the financial graduate are quite broad in terms of what you come out of university with. I've actually put on down here as well that it's the language of business, and that's specifically related to accounting. But having good business knowledge and a good knowledge of how a business operates is quite crucial to your potential future success. So having that as well as a key skill, again, something like accounting, can be really, really valuable, even if you don't see yourself going down a financial career, but having those skills will give you skills that you can then transfer to other sectors as well. People are very good at having those skills, again, that employers are generally looking for. Are you good with numbers? Can you analyze things? Good at communication, problem solving? These are all the things that the financial graduate will come out of university with. So it gives you a really good starting point to go and look at lots and lots of different types of careers. Again, not necessarily just in the sector that you're looking for. The good thing is that this is what financial employers are looking for as well. So you've got that bonus under your belt. In terms of graduate schemes in the financial sector, you can expect to see people like big banks offering those graduate schemes, and they can be in slightly different areas as well. So you may get to pick which area of the business you want to look at in more detail. It might be that you go down an investment route, an accounting route, a management route, but lots of different routes within that financial sector broadly. If you want to go into something like HR, marketing, there's also those opportunities with these enormous companies as well. There's lots of different things you can do, but having that sound understanding in the first place can be really, really valuable. Also mentioning other people that offer specific accounting and finance graduate schemes that aren't necessarily, again, companies that you might think of straight away. But as we said, and it's interesting to hear about Jonny's past work in the NHS. Lots of big companies have a need to do accounting and do it well and do it properly. So they will be looking to employ people with that skill set. So maybe these aren't necessarily the financial sector, but they're still jobs very much related to the skills you would have studied. So yes, as I mentioned then, there's those 6 main sort of different areas of the financial sector that you can go into. So you might think, okay, that sounds great. It's good to know I've got options. It's good to know there's lots of different companies, lots of different graduate schemes, lots of potential different job titles. The difficulty really is choosing what on earth it is that you're going to do. So how do you decide from all these things what it is you want to do? I think the key thing to start off with is having a look at the courses that are available. And I'm going to use my university where I work, so City University of London, as a bit of an example for you to show you some of the range of things out there. There's loads of different options. So you could do something like economics and start with a bit more theoretical background. We offer a range of finance degrees, so finance, banking, investments, accounting and finance, which we've come across, actuarial science, as we've mentioned, or doing business with finance as well, combining those together. But as I mentioned, there's so many different things out there. So I went on to UCAS, I think this was last week. I put finance in to UCAS search, see how many courses were related to the financial area, and 1,220 different options came up at 141 different universities, which is fantastic news. There's so much range out there for you. The difficult thing is picking one, but at the same time, it gives you that comfort that there is going to be something out there for you. It's just finding the right one. So I recommend going and searching some of these terms, that's finance, accounting, actuarial, business, throw them into the UCAS website and see what stuff comes out. There are some very, very different degree titles that you may never have heard of before, that you can then go and find out more about. Jonny mentioned accreditations as well. if you're looking to go down the accounting or the actuarial route, again, these are massive fast track helps in terms of your career progression. If you definitely want to go into accounting, you've got that accounting degree, you can have potentially 8 exemptions from professional exams later on, and that gives you a massive boost. These accreditations are also really well respected. So if you've got accreditations from the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries, they're hard, they're not easy things to pass. So to have those exemptions on your CV is a really, really positive thing when you're looking for jobs across the city in the financial sector. Whether it's going as work as an actuary or not, you've got those things under your belt. I just wanted to explain quickly what we mean by finance as well when we talk about finance degrees, because again, it's really hard sometimes to work out exactly what all of these degrees are. And in terms of finance, there's a few different areas that we look at. So first of all, corporate finance, which are generally courses that look at how businesses operate, how they run their own finances, and working out whether things make good sense or not. And then investments, which is a little bit more about that risk management side. So how much are you hoping to get return on your initial investments? And then that banking and financial markets lie between the two. So you've got the, generally speaking, investors and the corporates, and then the banks sit in the middle, helping corporates get money from investors and helping investors get in touch with their corporates as well to get their returns. So those are 3 sort of main areas that you can look at in terms of degrees. Again, worth having a look at which ones you might be more suited to. I'm just using an example here for what a degree might look like, using City as a bit of a basis. But there's lots of different opportunities with, I think, degrees. And I particularly want to focus on this middle one here, this work placement option or the study abroad option, because I think they're really, really valuable opportunities, particularly, again, if you're looking to progress to business and finance careers. I think the best thing about a year in industry is that you get to work with some really top companies. And the dream situation is you go and spend a year working with a company, getting paid, building good connections, and being made a job offer at the end of it. That's the dream scenario. But I also think it's a fantastic opportunity to test out a career, or you commit forever. So if you think you want to go into a certain area of finance, you try it for a year and you come out and you think, actually, that's not for me. It's not a loss at all. You've gained some really valuable experience, made some money, built your network of people who you now know, and gained some professional experience you can use to enhance your CV and help you move into another area you may feel more certain about. So even if things don't go perfectly with a year in industry, the skills you can gain from them are incredibly valuable when you go and then into the employment market. So definitely worth something having a look into. Unfortunately, in terms of solving a problem like maths, you won't when you're looking at finance and accounting degrees. There will be maths, and you're never going to get away from that. So do make sure to check out entry requirements around maths and stats, and just being prepared to make sure that you're okay with that. Some universities may ask for an A-level or equivalent in maths. Some may ask for a certain GCSE grade, so worth checking with individual ones. But unfortunately, you won't escape maths if you're looking to go down the financial routes. And I think just lastly, just to finish off, I would say remember that a lot of people will go into the financial sector with finance degrees. And this is kind of what we looked at a bit earlier on. But not everyone either. Not everyone will use their accounting and finance degrees to become accountants or work in investments and banks. There's other sectors as well. There's other things people will go into. They will use their skills and they'll use that knowledge, that communication, project management, numerical skills, to then move off into other sectors and use that, apply that language of business to other areas where they may be interested too. So if you do an accounting degree, you don't have to be an accountant, but it prepares you really well. Might be a nice way of sort of summing it up. So I would say top tips really then for getting you started, just research what's out there, look at your different options, look at the range of things you can get involved in. Think about what works for you. You may not know that yet, and that's absolutely fine. But giving yourself something with the most options is usually a good place to start. Be aware of flexibility where you can. So if you've got opportunity to change your mind, build in different elements to your degrees to tailor them to what you might want to. And have a look into those accreditations and exemptions as well. Again, if you're looking to go down that professional route, they can be a real big booster in terms of your career prospects. So definitely worth something having a look at. So thank you very much. Yeah, do get in touch if you have any questions or anything else you want to know. Other than that, I'll hand back to you, John.
Thank you very much, Andy. That's an excellent perspective from looking at careers and accounting, and also finance. And I know a lot of people do get confused between the two. So really, really appreciate that.